Have you ever laughed so hard that for a moment, every single worry, every ounce of pain just vanished as if life pressed a magical reset button? Have you ever laughed so hard that for a moment, every single worry, every ounce of pain just vanished as if life pressed a magical reset button? That's the power of humor. It sneaks into the cracks of our brokenness, it dances on the edge of our struggles, and suddenly the weight we carry feels lighter, even if just for a moment. You see, humor isn't just a silly giggle or a passing distraction. It's medicine for the soul, oxygen for the weary, and a bridge between what hurts and what heals. And the best part, it's free. No prescription needed, no insurance card required, just the willingness to let go and laugh. Think about the last time you were buried under stress, deadlines looming, responsibilities piling up like a tower of mismatched Jenga blocks ready to crash. In that moment, humor works like an emergency brake on your runaway mind. Laughter lowers cortisol, the stress hormone that tricks your body into thinking every email is a life or death situation. When you laugh, your body says, oh, wait, maybe I'm not being chased by a lion. Maybe it's just my boss asking for another report. Humor pulls you back into balance. It's like a reset button for your nervous system, calming the chaos in your chest and giving you back your breath. That little release of joy is nature's way of saying, relax, you've got this. But it doesn't stop there. Humor has this sneaky way of turning your body into a fortress of resilience. When you laugh, your immune system gets a boost, your heart gets a workout, and your body says thank you in the form of better health. It's not just about feeling better. It's about being stronger. Laughter produces antibodies, strengthens white blood cells, and reminds your body that healing isn't always found in silence or seriousness. Sometimes it's in the punchline. That's why people who make space for humor in their daily lives often find themselves more resilient against sickness, both of the body and of the spirit. Humor is proof that joy is not just an emotion. It's a survival tool. And here's where it gets even more beautiful. Humor connects us. Picture two strangers sitting in a waiting room, both nervous, both worried. One person cracks a small joke, and suddenly the room shifts. Shoulders drop, smiles appear, and what was once tension becomes togetherness. Laughter is the universal handshake, the unspoken language that says, I see you, I feel what you feel, and we're in this together. When we laugh with someone, walls break down. Trust grows, empathy deepens. A shared moment of humor is not just entertainment, it's relationship glue. It tells us we are not alone, and in a world that sometimes feels isolating, that reminder is priceless. Of course, humor isn't only about laughter during good times. Its true power shines when life gets dark. When grief weighs heavy, when pain feels unbearable, humor becomes a lifeline. It doesn't erase the struggle, but it changes the way we carry it. Think of the person who cracks a joke at a funeral, not out of disrespect, but as a spark of light in a room filled with shadows. That one joke doesn't dismiss the sorrow. It reminds everyone present that even in heartbreak, life still breathes. Humor lets us cope, lets us take the unbearable and make it slightly more bearable. It gives us courage to face tomorrow, because today, even in the middle of tears, we found one reason to smile. And humor doesn't just soothe the emotions, it fuels the mind. When we laugh, we shift perspective. We see problems not as giant, immovable walls, but as puzzles that might have a hidden solution. Humor reframes the challenge. Instead of saying, this is impossible, it nudges us to say, what if I look at it differently? That's why so many creative breakthroughs come when people are playful, when they don't take themselves too seriously. Humor is the spark that lights up the dark corners of our imagination, showing us possibilities we couldn't see when we were too busy frowning. It doesn't just lighten the load, it opens new doors. So when you think about humor, don't reduce it to a casual chuckle or a silly meme. Think of it as a form of healing, as important to your health as sleep, exercise, or nourishment. Think of it as a tool that connects you to yourself, to others, and to the resilience within you. Every time you laugh, you are choosing life over despair, connection over isolation, and hope over fear. Humor doesn't mean ignoring the seriousness of life. It means acknowledging it and choosing to rise above it, even for a moment, with a smile. The truth is, laughter is one of the most honest expressions of being alive. You can fake a smile, but you can't fake a genuine belly laugh. That's your soul speaking, saying, I'm still here, I'm still alive, and I still believe joy is possible. So let humor heal you. Let it wash over your stress, strengthen your body, deepen your connections, help you cope, and open your mind. And the next time life feels overwhelming, don't forget, you're only one good laugh away from healing. Have you ever noticed how your body feels after a real, unfiltered laugh? The kind that makes your stomach ache, your cheeks hurt, and maybe even brings tears to your eyes. That kind of laughter isn't just fun, it's a biological miracle. Every giggle, every chuckle, every roar of laughter is like a workout for your body, strengthening the system that defends you against illness. Scientists have studied this, and they've found that laughter actually strengthens the immune system. It's as if your body hears the sound of joy and decides to suit up, putting on its armor, ready to take on the world. Humor doesn't just heal the mind, it strengthens the body, making it more resilient, more capable of standing tall against sickness and struggle. When you laugh, your body releases a cascade of natural chemicals, endorphins, those little messengers of happiness that soothe pain and remind you life can still feel good. Your immune system takes the signal and begins to fire up. Antibodies increase, your body produces more white blood cells, and suddenly you're not just laughing, you're literally strengthening the foundation of your health. That's the secret most people don't realize. Laughter is exercise for your spirit, but also training for your body. It's as if joy itself becomes your personal trainer, guiding your cells to fight harder, to endure longer, to resist disease. Think of it this way. Stress is like a thief sneaking into your body and robbing you of peace, robbing you of energy, even robbing you of your ability to heal. But laughter is the alarm system that chases the thief out. It shuts down the invasion of negativity and flips on the lights of resilience. When you laugh, your stress hormones take a nosedive. Cortisol drops, adrenaline balances, and the very chemistry of your body changes. It's not magic, it's biology. Humor is nature's most underrated medicine, and unlike a bitter pill, it's one you actually want to take. Now, imagine facing a tough illness or recovering from an injury. The body needs strength to heal, but the mind needs hope to keep fighting. Humor ties those two together. Hospitals that encourage patients to laugh, to watch comedies, to share stories often see better recovery rates. Not because laughter replaces medicine, but because it complements it. It boosts the immune response, lowers blood pressure, and reminds patients that they are more than their condition. Humor says, you are not defined by this illness. You are still alive, still breathing, still capable of joy. And sometimes that hope is the most powerful medicine of all. Humor also teaches us that resilience isn't about being serious and stoic all the time. True resilience is about adaptability, about knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Laughter is the release valve that prevents you from cracking under the pressure. It lets your body rest even while it's fighting. And in that rest, healing happens. A person who can laugh through their struggles isn't dismissing the pain. They're inviting strength into their body and spirit at the same time. Humor becomes a shield, a weapon, and a salve all at once. Even in daily life, laughter makes you stronger without you realizing it. Those moments you spend laughing with friends, those silly jokes you share at the dinner table, they're not just entertainment. They're investments in your health. Each laugh adds another layer of resilience, another spark of vitality. It's the body's way of saying, thank you for choosing joy. Thank you for giving me the strength to keep going. And when we string together those moments, we build a reservoir of energy that we can draw from when times get tough. So the next time you laugh, don't dismiss it as something small or unimportant. Recognize it for what it really is, a healing ritual, a boost of immunity, a reminder that joy itself can strengthen you. Humor isn't about ignoring reality. It's about arming yourself with resilience so that when reality gets hard, you have the strength to rise above it. Laughter is your body's way of saying, well, I'm alive, I'm strong, and I'm ready. And that, my friends, is the healing power of humor working from the inside out. Picture this: two people standing in an elevator, silent, stiff, staring at the glowing numbers as if they're watching the most boring countdown show in history. Then one of them says something funny, just a small joke, maybe about the elevator music. And suddenly, they're no longer strangers. Shoulders relax, eyes meet, a smile appears, and for a fleeting moment, the awkwardness melts away. That right there is the power of humor. It's social superglue. Humor transforms distance into closeness, walls into windows, and silence into connection. It's not just about getting a laugh, it's about reminding us that we're human together. Humor is one of the fastest ways to bridge gaps between people, no matter who they are or where they come from. A shared laugh is a handshake without touching, a hug without arms. You don't need to speak the same language to laugh at something funny. Laughter cuts through differences in culture, age, or background. Think about how universal it is. Children giggle, grandparents chuckle, entire crowds roar together at the same punchline. In that shared sound, in that shared joy, there's a bond that words alone can't create. Humor whispers, we're in this together, and people lean in closer because of it. When we laugh with someone, trust begins to grow. Imagine a workplace where everything is serious, stiff, robotic. Productivity might exist, but connection, hardly. Now imagine a place where people can share a joke, where laughter echoes down the hallway. In that environment, people feel safer, more supported, more willing to take risks. Humor doesn't erase professionalism. It strengthens it because it builds relationships rooted in trust. A coworker who laughs with you is someone you feel comfortable sharing ideas with, even the wild ones. Humor makes us braver, not because it removes fear, but because it reminds us we're not alone in it. And isn't that what connection is all about? Knowing we're not alone. Humor reminds us that even in the middle of life's seriousness, we can find something light together. Think of families sitting around the dinner table telling stories, laughing until their sides ache. Those aren't just funny moments. They're the threads that weave relationships tighter. Long after the exact joke is forgotten, the feeling of closeness remains. The memory says, I laughed with you. I felt safe with you. I belonged with you. That's the magic of humor. It builds bonds that last far beyond the punchline, even in conflict. Humor can be the bridge that prevents a total collapse. A well-timed joke can ease tension, soften anger, and shift perspective. It doesn't mean dismissing the seriousness of an issue. It means reminding both sides of their shared humanity. Humor gives us the ability to step outside the storm, even if only for a moment, and remember that behind our arguments, behind our differences, there are people who just want to be understood. That shift is often enough to make compromise possible, to bring compassion back into the conversation. Humor also has a way of disarming loneliness. Think about the times you felt isolated, disconnected, like nobody understood what you were going through. And then someone said something funny that hit just right, and suddenly the walls cracked open. You weren't alone anymore. You were part of a shared moment of joy. Laughter creates belonging, and belonging heals. That's why group laughter, whether in a classroom, a theater, or even an online video that millions share, feels so powerful. It's not just your laughter, it's the sound of millions of invisible threads tying you to others. Even the smallest jokes matter. A smile shared with the cashier, a lighthearted comment to a stranger on the bus, a laugh shared over spilled coffee. These moments ripple out, creating warmth in places that were cold before. Humor reminds us that connection isn't always about deep conversations or grand gestures. Sometimes it's about noticing the absurd, laughing at it together, and realizing you've just shared something meaningful without even trying. And here's the deeper truth. Humor doesn't just connect us to others. It reconnects us to ourselves. When we laugh with people, we're reminded of the part of us that is light, joyful, capable of wonder. That self, unburdened, playful, is the one that makes it easier to connect authentically. We don't need to put on masks or armor when we're laughing. We can just be. And when we show up as ourselves raw and real, that's when genuine connections take root. So the next time you share a laugh, don't take it lightly, see it for the gift it is. That moment isn't just humor. It's a thread weaving you into the fabric of someone else's life. It's proof that no matter how different we seem, joy is something we can always share. Humor connects us in ways nothing else can, and every time we laugh together, we heal the spaces between us. Life has a way of throwing punches when we least expect them. Sometimes they're light taps, other times they're blows that knock the wind right out of us. Heartbreak, loss, failure, illness, they arrive uninvited, and suddenly we're left staggering, wondering how to carry the weight. In those moments, humor might feel out of place, almost disrespectful in the face of so much pain. But here's the miracle: humor doesn't erase suffering, it reshapes it. It takes the jagged edges of pain and softens them just enough so we can hold them without being cut. Humor becomes a coping mechanism, a lifeline, a way to breathe when life makes you feel like you're drowning. Think about the times sat with someone going through something unbearable. Maybe it was a hospital room, maybe a funeral, maybe just a quiet kitchen where grief hung heavy in the air. And then, almost out of nowhere, someone cracked a joke. Not to belittle the moment, but to break the suffocating silence. Suddenly, people smiled through tears, maybe even laughed, and for just a breath of time, sorrow loosened its grip. That's the genius of humor. It doesn't deny the pain, it gives us a way to live with it. It's a reminder that even in the darkest hours, joy hasn't completely left the room. Humor is survival. Soldiers in war zones, doctors in emergency rooms, families in the middle of hardship, all of them have used humor to cope. A soldier might joke about the food, a doctor about the chaos, a parent about the absurdity of balancing bills and burdens. Those jokes aren't dismissals, they're shields. Humor allows us to face what could otherwise crush us, to laugh in defiance of despair. It's saying to the storm, you may shake me, but you will not break me. That laughter is resilience made audible. Even our brains seem to know this. When you laugh, your body releases endorphins, the very chemicals that soothe pain and lift mood. That's not coincidence. That's nature giving you a tool to endure. In moments of struggle, laughter acts like a pressure valve, releasing just enough tension to stop you from snapping. And the beauty of it, you don't need to force it. Sometimes the funniest moments are born in the middle of chaos. It's your brain's way of helping you carry what feels too heavy, transforming agony into something you can manage. There's also something profoundly human about finding humor in tragedy. We don't laugh because the pain doesn't matter. We laugh because it matters so much. Laughter reminds us that we're still alive, still capable of feeling something other than sorrow. It's the crack of light that proves the darkness isn't absolute. People often say, if I didn't laugh, I'd cry. The truth is, sometimes you need both. Tears cleanse the soul and laughter fortifies it. Together, they're the dual language of healing. Think of comedians who've turned their pain into performances. They talk about failed relationships, family struggles, even illness, and people laugh, not at the suffering, but at the shared humanity within it. That laughter isn't cruelty, it's communion. It says, I've been there too. You're not alone. By framing pain through humor, we take back some power from it. We tell the story instead of letting the story control us. Humor becomes a way of reclaiming agency in moments when we feel powerless. On a personal level, humor helps us endure everyday struggles. You miss the bus, spill your coffee, get bad news, all of it piles up. If you take it all with grim seriousness, life becomes unbearable. But if you can laugh at the absurdity, at the timing, at the ridiculousness of it, you've already taken the sting out of the moment. Humor doesn't solve the problem, but it changes the way you face it. Suddenly, what felt like defeat becomes just another strange story you'll tell later, one that might even make others laugh with you. Even grief itself, the heaviest of burdens, can hold space for humor. People who've lost loved ones often tell stories, laughing about quirks, silly habits, or things that person used to say. That laughter doesn't diminish the loss, it honors the life. It transforms memory into something alive, not just something mourned. Humor in those moments is love disguised as laughter. It's a way of keeping the essence of a person close, reminding us that they were more than the moment they left. So when life feels unbearable, don't be afraid to lean on humor. Don't feel guilty for laughing when you're supposed to be serious. Humor is not disrespect to the pain. It's respect for your own humanity. It's your body and soul teaming up to say, we can do this. We will get through this. Laughter doesn't trivialize struggle. It makes survival possible. Have you ever noticed how a single laugh can flip the entire script in your mind? One moment you're staring at a problem like it's a mountain blocking your path, and the next, after a good laugh, it feels less like Everest and more like a quirky hill you can climb with sneakers and a smile. That's what humor does. It nurtures creativity and reshapes perspective. It takes the tight knots of frustration in your brain and loosens them just enough for new ideas to slip through. Humor isn't just about feeling good. It's about thinking better, solving smarter, and seeing the world in ways you couldn't when your jaw was clenched and your brows were furrowed. When you laugh, your mind opens up. Literally, neuroscience shows that laughter boosts dopamine, the brain's natural, feel-good chemical, which also happens to be the fuel for creativity. In that spark of joy, your brain begins to make connections it wouldn't normally make. That's why some of the most inventive ideas are born not in stiff, serious meetings, but in rooms where people are joking, sharing, playing with possibilities. Humor frees us from the trap of rigid thinking. It takes a locked door and turns it into a swinging gate. Suddenly, what seemed impossible starts to look like an opportunity dressed in funny clothes. Think about children. They laugh more than anyone, sometimes hundreds of times a day. And they're endlessly creative. To them, a cardboard box is a spaceship, a towel is a superhero cape, and a puddle is an ocean full of adventures. That playfulness, that humor, is the fuel of imagination. Somewhere along the road to adulthood, we're told to be serious, to straighten up, to stop laughing so much. And in doing so, we often strangle the very creativity that could save us. Humor reminds us to return to that childlike openness, to let our minds wander without judgment, to color outside the lines. It whispers, what if? And that's the birthplace of every breakthrough. Humor also teaches us perspective. Life is full of challenges, but how we frame those challenges makes all the difference. If you approach a setback with dread, it becomes a wall. If you can find humor in it, even a tiny chuckle at the absurdity, it becomes a hurdle you can step over. Humor doesn't trivialize problems, it reframes them. It allows us to zoom out, to see the bigger picture, to realize that maybe this mountain isn't the end of the road, but just one part of the scenery. A laugh can turn despair into patience, frustration into resilience, and failure into a funny story you'll one day tell at dinner. Even history is filled with examples of leaders, inventors, and artists who used humor to fuel their genius. They cracked jokes in moments of crisis, not because they didn't care, but because humor gave them clarity. A light heart makes for a sharp mind. When you're weighed down by stress, your field of vision narrows, you can only see the problem. But when you laugh, the field widens. Suddenly you notice solutions hiding in plain sight, possibilities you never considered. Humor is not an escape from reality, it's a way of bending reality into something workable, survivable, even beautiful. And let's not forget the role humor plays in collaboration. Creativity rarely happens in isolation. It thrives in groups, in communities, in exchanges of ideas, and nothing lubricates the gears of collaboration like humor. When people laugh together, walls come down, egos shrink, and the room fills with trust. In that environment, people feel safe throwing out ideas, even the weird ones. And it's often the weird ideas, the ones born in laughter, that lead to the greatest innovations. Humor gives permission to explore without fear of looking foolish. It says, go ahead, play with this. Who knows what brilliance might come out of it? Even in your personal life, humor can shift your perspective in transformative ways. Imagine standing in traffic, late for a meeting, steam rising from your head. You could stew in anger, or you could laugh at the absurdity of all these cars stuck like sardines in a can. The situation hasn't changed, but your perspective has. And that shift matters. It keeps your mind flexible, your heart light, your creativity alive. Humor doesn't erase frustration, but it stops it from owning you. What's powerful about humor is that it sneaks in when you least expect it. You could be struggling, lost in the heaviness of life, and then something funny happens. Maybe you trip on your shoelaces or hear a silly comment, and suddenly the world tilts. You realize you've been staring so hard at the problem that you forgot to step back and see the bigger picture. Humor gives you that bigger picture. It widens your lens, sharpens your focus, and fills the frame with possibilities. So when you're searching for solutions, when you're buried under challenges, don't underestimate the role of humor. Make space for laughter in the brainstorming session. Crack a joke when the pressure is suffocating. Allow yourself to giggle at the ridiculousness of life's messiness. Because every time you laugh, you're not just healing your spirit, you're unlocking your creativity and reshaping your perspective. Humor is proof sometimes the shortest distance between despair and hope is a single laugh. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all. Humor doesn't just change how we feel, it changes how we see. And once you see differently, you can imagine differently, create differently, live differently. So laugh often, not just because it feels good, because it opens the doors your mind thought were locked. Humor is more than healing. It's the spark that lights up new paths, new ideas, and new ways of being. And so, my friends, what do we learn when we step back and look at the bigger picture? Humor isn't just a quick chuckle to pass the time. It's not a distraction, and it's not an afterthought. It's medicine, it's connection, it's resilience, it's perspective. Humor heals the body by lowering stress and strengthening the immune system. It nurtures the soul by easing pain and grief. It binds us together by creating moments of shared joy. And it expands the mind by opening new doors of creativity and possibility. Every laugh we allow ourselves is proof that even in the hardest of times, life still has a pulse of beauty running through it. The truth is, laughter doesn't remove struggle. It gives us the courage to face it. It doesn't deny sorrow. It carves out space for joy to stand beside it. Humor reminds us that no matter what storms we walk through, the light of human spirit can never be fully extinguished. When we laugh, we are saying to the world, I may bend, but I won't break. I may hurt, but I will heal, and I will not forget how to smile. So carry humor with you. Share it generously. Let it be the sound that cuts through silence, the spark that lights up the darkness, the bridge that connects hearts, and the voice that whispers hope when despair is loud. Because in the end, the healing power of humor is really the healing power of being alive. Alive enough to hurt, alive enough to love, and alive enough to laugh. And isn't that the most beautiful medicine of all?